Welcome to the ArmaniTalks YouTube channel. I'm your host, ArmaniTalks. In this channel, I'm covering communication skills for you to level up your way with words, become much more articulate. In today's episode, I'm going to be talking about the difference between traditional media and new media. Plus, I'm also going to be talking about what this difference means for you. Traditional media is what I call analog media. It's known as the newspapers, television, and radio. While new media is media that is on the internet, YouTube videos, blogs, podcasts, and much more. With new media, the location doesn't necessarily matter, while with traditional media, the location does matter. Have you ever had that one moment when you're listening to a song and you're vibing with the song? You're like, finally, radio, you were playing all these crap music, but now you're finally playing a song that I wanted to hear. As you're vibing and as you're driving, suddenly the song becomes staticky. You're like, come on, why is it getting staticky for? The reason that it's getting staticky is because there's a broadcast antenna and your car is serving as the receiver. The farther away that you're getting away from the broadcast antenna, the more distorted that the music is becoming. So location plays a big role. Similar with newspapers. If you work in a newspaper that's called West Palm Beach Times, then it's not going to be as relevant in New York. And New York Times is going to be relevant in New York and vice versa. So location plays a big role, where with new media, location does not play a role. Now you may be thinking, well, what does this mean for me? I believe it means a couple of things. Number one, you don't need as many credentials as you once needed. I knew this one girl from my childhood who eventually ended up becoming a journalist for a lot of these mainstream networks. And for her to become a journalist, she needed to get trained. She had to do a bachelor's in communications. She needed to get an internship, a shadow under a bunch of journalists. I think she also got a master's and much more, where you needed to prove what you were about. Where with new media, me creating this YouTube talk, I didn't have to ask anyone for permission. I didn't have to get a bachelor's degree, a master's degree, or anything like that. Now granted, I have some background in the Toastmasters Public Speaking Club, which did help with communication skills and packaging ideas. But technically speaking, I didn't even need Toastmasters. I could have literally just bought a camera and started to create new media content. So what it means for you, the difference between traditional media and new media, is that now you don't have to ask anyone for permission. But here's what I noticed. I noticed that anytime a new media is being introduced, what happens is that people bring old lines of thinking to the new medium. And this is not something that's happening as of late. So radio preceded TV. When TV was first becoming a thing, do you know what would happen? A lot of the cameras would literally just have a shot of these radio folks just talking. Just imagine, you have this new medium of TV. The potentials are limitless, and all you're doing is you're sticking a camera to the previous way of doing things. Nowadays, if that's what we saw on TV, we'd be like, come on guys, use your imagination. Nowadays, we have CGI, we have movies, we have suspense, we have game shows, and much more. We don't just have a camera of a radio guy just talking into the microphone. Now, similarly, with traditional media, what you often want is mass market success. Okay, even if you're a small newspaper company, you want mass market success in terms of the community that you serve. But with new media, that's not always the case. With new media, I don't think you should optimize for mass market success first, because it doesn't matter what interest you have. It's capable of reaching at least 100,000 people from around the planet. So if I said to a traditional media, let's say broadcast channel, hey, I want to make a show that talks about the fourth Harry Potter book in detail, the nooks and crannies, and a lot of that. I could give you at least 100 episodes. They're honestly going to laugh me out of the building. They're going to be like, what the heck? How many viewers are we going to get? And you say, at least 100,000. They're honestly going to laugh at you. Okay? But if you say, how about I create a podcast that's hyper targeted towards the fourth book of Harry Potter? Because let's be real, we all know that's the best Harry Potter book. And I talk about it from the nooks and the crannies. And let's say I get 100,000 people listening to me. This is a success. It's because you don't have all these overhead costs. You just need a microphone. That's it. You could get it on Amazon for, let's say, $25. So where before, people's ideas of radio was, okay, let's put a camera and record the radio guy talking. But then it evolved. Nowadays, our idea of new media success is analyzing it from the success of traditional media, which is mainstream success. Where I'm trying to say, look, the location doesn't exist for you. You could tap into anyone in the planet. And do you think that your interest can appeal to at least 100,000 people? That's a difficult question to answer. So let's take it back a level. Can it appeal to at least 10,000 people? That may be difficult to answer. So let's ask, can it appeal to 10 people? Now, if you can, with confidence, say, yes, it's going to at least appeal to 10 people, there is nothing that should prevent you from saying, well, what about I keep adding multiples of 10 to eventually reach that 100,000 mark? So with new media, I believe you really need to change the line of thinking. I believe right now, since we're entering this new medium, it's very easy to fall back into old lines of thinking with traditional media. But I think the pioneers of new media are going to be exploring unique ideas, not what everyone else is talking about, aka mainstream success. I'm talking about new ideas that are completely untapped. We're becoming this idea economy, the imagination economy, and you can't exercise imagination if you just keep doing what everyone else is doing. So the biggest difference between traditional media and new media is that traditional media is bounded by a location. It deals more with mainstream success, while new media, there is no location. There's a thing called hyperlinks, which means that time doesn't exist. With new media, you need a new line of thinking. And I believe new media in the long term will reward imagination. So go on and drop that like for me right on below. Stay subscribed to the ArmaniTalks YouTube channel for more videos on public speaking, storytelling, emotional resilience, and much more. Thank you very much for joining me, and I'll catch you on the next episode.